Only in Kentucky can the last battle of the American Revolution happen 10 months after the war was supposed to be over. Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm learning a little bit more about Kentucky, one county at a time, all 120 of them. And today, I'm learning about Robertson County. Robertson County sits in the Outer Bluegrass region of north-central Kentucky, bordered by Bracken, Mason, Fleming, Nicholas, and Harrison counties. The Licking River defines much of its southern and western edges. The terrain consists of rolling hills, limestone, bedrock beneath, and elevations ranging from about 550 feet to just over 1,000 feet at the ridgelines. It covers exactly 100 square miles. Robertson County is the smallest county in Kentucky by area. It's also the least populous county in Kentucky, with a population of just a little over 2,000 recorded in the 2020 census. That works out to about 22 people per square mile. The county was formed on February 11, 1867. It became the 111th county in Kentucky. It was named for George Robertson, who served in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1817 to 1821, and later as Chief Justice of the Kentucky Court of Appeals. The county seat is Mount Olivet, founded in 1820 and incorporated in December of 1851. The town sits at the junction of U.S. Route 62 and Kentucky Route 165. Its name comes from the biblical Mount of Olives, and there's just about 350 people there in the town. The courthouse square, a two-story brick Italianate building completed in 1870, anchors the town center. A local builder named G.M. Williams designed and built it. It's been in continuous use as the county courthouse ever since. That courthouse has been standing longer than most things in Robertson County. The Treaty of Paris had not been signed, but the major fighting of the American Revolution was effectively over. Lord Cornwallis had surrendered at Yorktown in October of 1781. 10 months later, the war was still technically ongoing on the western frontier, where British forces and their indigenous allies continued to press hard against American settlements in Kentucky. In August of 1782, a British officer named Captain William Caldwell led a force of about 50 Butler's Rangers and roughly 300 indigenous warriors south from Ohio into Kentucky. Their target was Bryan Station, a fortified settlement near present-day Lexington. They laid siege for 2 days, burned crops, killed livestock, destroyed outlying buildings, and then withdrew when they learned Kentucky militia reinforcements were approaching. The militia arrived at Bryan Station on August 18th. About 182 men assembled, including Colonel John Todd, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Boone, and Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Trigg. There was a debate about whether to pursue Caldwell immediately or wait for additional forces under Benjamin Logan, who was only a day behind. Boone recommended waiting. He was overruled, though. The militia set out in pursuit the following morning. On August 19th, they reached a ford on the Licking River near a spring and salt lake called the Lower Blue Licks in what is now Robertson County. Across the river, a few indigenous scouts were visible on a hill watching. Boone called a council. He said the trail was too obvious. The scouts were meant to be seen. He believed they were being lured into an ambush. A militia officer there named Hugh McGarry did not want to hear it. McGarry was known as a fierce, unstable fighter. He mounted his horse, rode into the ford, and shouted, "Them that ain't cowards, follow me." The men followed. The officers followed, hoping to restore order. Boone crossed the river and reportedly said, "We are all slaughtered men." And he was pretty much right. The warriors and rangers were concealed in ravines on the far side of the hill. When the Kentucky militia reached the summit, the ambush opened. Within 5 minutes, the center and right of the line collapsed. Colonel Todd was shot dead. Stephen Trigg was shot dead. The men fled back down the hill into hand-to-hand fighting with warriors who had flanked them. Boone's men on the left were the only ones who pushed forward at all. McGarry rode up and told Boone everyone was retreating. Boone ordered the withdrawal. He grabbed a riderless horse and told his 23-year-old son, Israel, to mount it. Israel fell to the ground, shot through the neck. Boone left his son's body and rode away. 77 Kentucky militiamen were killed, 6 were captured. British and indigenous losses were minimal. 11 killed and 14 wounded. It was a complete rout. Benjamin Logan arrived days later with reinforcements and buried the dead. The Treaty of Paris was signed in September of 1783. The Battle of Blue Licks is considered the final battle of the American Revolutionary War. It happened 10 months after Yorktown on a hill next to the Licking River in what is now Robertson County, Kentucky, because one man refused to listen to Daniel Boone. Hugh McGarry lived and was never seriously punished for what he did. He was court-martialed years later for a separate incident, stripped of his commission for a year, and otherwise went on with his life. He died in Indiana in 1808. Today, Blue Licks Battlefield State Resort Park sits on 148 acres straddling Robertson and Nicholas counties along U.S. Route 68. A 45-foot granite obelisk erected in 1928 marks the battlefield. A Pioneer Museum on-site houses artifacts including a mastodon tooth found during excavations. The park hosts a reenactment of the battle every August with living history demonstrations and encampments. The Licking River Trail runs along the riverbank for about a mile. There's a 32-room lodge and 51-site campground. It's the county's largest tourist draw by a significant margin. Before the battlefield became a park, the same area was a health resort. The Blue Licks Springs Resort operated for much of the 19th century, built around mineral springs whose sulfurous saltwater content was believed by visitors to cure everything from asthma to gout. The springs had drawn animals to lick the salt deposits for thousands of years before Europeans arrived. By the mid-1800s, the resort had hotels, baths, and a steady stream of visitors from across the region. Then, in April of 1862, the main hotel burned. The resort never fully recovered. By 1896, the last spring had gone dry. Excavations in 1945 turned up geological and historical artifacts, but no new springs. What had been a regional destination became a state park and monument. The most significant figure associated with Robertson County, who actually lived in Robertson County, is Thomas Metcalf, the 10th governor of Kentucky. Metcalf was born in Virginia in 1780 and trained as a stonemason. He moved to this part of Kentucky and built a stone house around 1810 near the community of Pinhook, south of Mount Olivet. The house still stands. It's a federal-style structure he built himself, stone and mortar, on 45 acres that included a smokehouse. He would go on to serve in Congress and then as governor from 1828 to 1832, then return to the courts. His Robertson County house is the oldest surviving home in the county and one of the earlier surviving stone buildings in the entire Outer Bluegrass region. The Johnson Creek covered bridge, built in 1874, crosses Johnson Creek about 4 miles north of Blue Licks Battlefield. It's 114 feet long and 16 feet wide. Its Smith Type 3 truss design is the only known example of that system remaining in Kentucky. It was built by a craftsman named Jacob Bauer, born in 1819, and it's the only surviving covered bridge known to have been built by him. Around 1912, Bauer's son Lewis added an arch on each side to handle increased traffic. The bridge was restored in 2007 and is now closed to vehicles, but still accessible on foot. Of more than 400 covered bridges that once stood in Kentucky, 11 remain, and this is one of them. The community of Piqua sits in the southern part of the county along routes 165 and 617. Its name was given in 1840 by a settler named Isaac Chamberlain, who named it after Piqua, Ohio, his hometown. Piqua, Ohio takes its name from a Shawnee word meaning roughly "he has risen." Johnson Creek flows through the community on its way to the Licking River. Kenton Town is a community southwest of Mount Olivet on U.S. Route 62. Supposedly named for Simon Kenton, the frontiersman and scout who ranged through this part of Kentucky in the late 18th century. There are 3 historic one-room schoolhouses in the county being preserved by the Robertson County Tourism Commission. The Piqua Schoolhouse, the Ogden Ridge Schoolhouse, and Mount Olivet City School are all being restored and are open for tours at various times. In October of 2025, Robertson County Sheriff Terry Gray was arrested for his 3rd DUI in less than 2 years. This time, Mason County deputies spotted his white pickup truck traveling at speeds up to 110 miles per hour on Kentucky Route 11. Lights and sirens activated, crossing the center line multiple times and nearly overturning twice. Gray was wearing his sheriff's uniform and carrying a firearm and handcuffs when they stopped him. Deputies found an airplane bottle of Fireball in his pocket. His blood alcohol content was .226, nearly 3 times the legal limit. Like I said, this is his 3rd. His previous 2 DUIs from 2023 and 2024 had both resulted in Alford pleas and probation. The 2023 arrest occurred near a school. 2024 arrest involved Gray driving a tractor while intoxicated. At his sentencing in October of 2024, the judge had told him directly, "I certainly expect to not see this again from you, Sheriff Gray." Gray had said, "Yes, Your Honor." Following the 3rd arrest, the Kentucky Governor's Office sent a letter to Gray at the Mason County Detention Center, giving him 5 business days to resign or face removal proceedings for neglect of duty, habitual drunkenness in office, and gross immorality. Gray was subsequently indicted on DUI, 3rd offense with aggravating circumstances, wanton endangerment, reckless driving, and first-degree official misconduct. The last time a Kentucky governor actually removed a sheriff from office was in 1957 when Happy Chandler removed the Perry County sheriff for punching an attorney in a judge's chambers. The county today runs on agriculture. Beef, cattle, and hay are the dominant commodities, having largely replaced tobacco over the past few decades as federal quota programs ended and farmers shifted to what the land could support without the policy infrastructure. The county had about 163 farms on nearly 25,000 acres as of the most recent agricultural census. There's no hospital in Robertson County, no interstate, no railroad. The nearest hospitals are in Cynthiana and Maysville. Most residents who work outside agriculture commute to jobs in other counties. The Robertson County School District serves roughly 400 students total, kindergarten through 12th grade, in a single complex in Mount Olivet. The graduation rate is about 95%. Robertson County's population peaked at about 5,800 in 1880, the absence of a railroad in late 19th century, when railroads were the difference between a growing town and a forgotten one, shaped everything that came after. No rail meant no industry. No industry meant no jobs meant people left. The population has been roughly stable in the low 2000s since 1970, neither collapsing entirely, but not necessarily growing much either. So, that's Robertson County. What'd I get wrong this time?